What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Rage's Band, and welcome back to the channel. Okay, let's get real for a hot second. When you think of an extrovert, what comes to mind? Probably someone who's the life of the party, super chatty, has a million friends, and is just like living their best life, right? We're always told, be more outgoing, network, put yourself out there. And honestly, for the most part, that's solid advice. Being an extrovert has some major perks. You meet amazing people, you get invited to cool things, and your energy can literally light up a room. It's like having a social superpower. But, and this is a big but, like a Sir Mix-a-Lot level but, what if I told you that being an extrovert isn't always sunshine and sold-out concerts? Yeah, you heard me. There's a whole other side to it, a kind of social hangover. Today we're diving deep into the negative energies and the hidden downsides of being an extrovert. We're talking about the stuff nobody really wants to admit, because it doesn't fit the happy-go-lucky stereotype. Because let's be honest, sometimes your greatest strength can also be your biggest challenge, and it's time we had a real conversation about it. So, if you've ever felt drained after being on all day, or felt weirdly antsy when you're alone, this video is for you. We're going to break down some of the struggles that come with the extrovert territory. This isn't about bashing my fellow social butterflies, heck no. This is about understanding ourselves better and realizing that it's okay not to be 100% all the time. So grab your snacks, get comfy, and let's get into the real tea about the extrovert life. It's about to get honest up in here. Alright, first up on the docket, overstimulation. As an extrovert, my brain is basically wired to seek out people, noise, and action. It's like a plant that needs sunlight. But my sunlight is a crowded room with loud music and 15 different conversations happening at once. And for a while, I'm thriving. I'm soaking it all in, I'm energized, I'm bouncing from person to person, telling stories, laughing my face off. It feels like I'm charging up my battery to the max. It's a high, and honestly, it's an amazing feeling. But then, the crash. You know what I'm talking about. It's that moment when you've been to the brunch, then the afternoon hangout, then the dinner party, and someone says, let's go to the after party. And suddenly your brain just short circuits. It's like all the lights on your internal dashboard start blinking red. The constant need to engage, to listen, to respond, to be on for hours and hours on end can lead to some serious burnout. It's not just being tired, it's a deep, soul-level exhaustion where even the thought of one more conversation feels like running a marathon. This isn't just physical tiredness, it's mental and emotional overload. Your brain has processed so much information, so many faces, names, stories, and emotions, that it just hits a wall. You go from being the life of the party to wanting to hide in the bathroom and scroll through cat videos just to have a moment of silence. It's a weird paradox, right? The very thing that gives you energy is also the thing that can completely drain you dry if you don't manage it. It's like drinking 10 cups of coffee. Great at first, but the inevitable crash is brutal. Okay, let's talk about the flip side of that coin, being alone. For a lot of extroverts, myself included, solitude can feel weird, like deeply uncomfortable. When you're used to getting your energy and your sense of self from bouncing off other people, being by yourself can feel like you've been unplugged from your power source. The silence is suddenly deafening. You start to feel restless, antsy, and you might find yourself mindlessly scrolling through your phone, just desperate for some kind of interaction, even a digital one. It's not necessarily that we don't like ourselves or our own company. It's more that our default setting is interactive. Being alone requires a mental switch that we're not always prepared to make. You're left with just your own thoughts, and if you're used to processing those thoughts by talking them out with someone else, it can feel like you're trapped in an echo chamber. The quiet can make you feel unproductive or like you're missing out on something important, triggering that dreaded FOMO, fear of missing out. This can actually be a huge problem. If you can't stand being alone, you might end up filling your schedule with meaningless hangouts or staying in situations that are draining you, just to avoid the discomfort of solitude. You might text an ex, call that one friend who always has drama, or just say yes to anything to avoid an empty evening. Learning to be comfortable with just yourself is a skill, and for extroverts, it's a skill that often needs a lot more practice. It's like a muscle we forgot to work out at the gym. This next one is a trap I fall into all the time, the risk of overcommitment. As an extrovert, opportunities to be social are like shiny objects. A friend's birthday dinner? Yes. A last-minute concert? Absolutely. A networking event across town? I'm there. A volunteer day? Sign me up. We love being involved, we love being part of the action, and most importantly, we hate letting people down. The word no feels like a four-letter word that we just can't bring ourselves to say. The problem is, every yes takes a slice of your time and energy. At first, your calendar looks exciting and full of fun. But soon, it starts to look less like a fun agenda and more like a prison sentence you've given yourself. You're running from one thing to the next, with no time to breathe, eat a proper meal, or even just decompress. You start to feel spread incredibly thin, like a tiny bit of butter scraped over way too much bread. You're not fully present at any of the events because your brain is already thinking about the next 3 things you have to do. This is where the resentment can creep in. You start to feel overwhelmed and stressed out, and you might even get annoyed at the very people you were so excited to see. You agreed to all of it, but now you feel trapped by your own inability to set boundaries. It's a vicious cycle. You say yes to feel good and connected, but then you end up feeling exhausted and disconnected. Learning to say no isn't about being selfish. It's about self-preservation. It's about choosing quality over quantity and making sure you have enough energy to actually enjoy the things you commit to. Okay, confession time. Have you ever said something and the moment it leaves your mouth you think, "Oh no, abort mission, rewind"? Welcome to the world of extroverted impulsiveness. Because we process information externally, meaning we often think by talking, our mouths can sometimes get way ahead of our brains. We're so eager to engage, to contribute to the conversation, to make a joke, that we don't always take that extra second to filter our thoughts. This can lead to some awkward situations. You might accidentally overshare personal information, make a joke that doesn't land right, or speak on a topic you don't know enough about, only to regret it later. It's not that you mean any harm, it's just that your enthusiasm to connect overrides your internal editor. While introverts might think carefully before speaking, we extroverts often dive headfirst into the verbal pool without checking if there's water in it first. We work things out as we say them. This can cause misunderstandings and can sometimes hurt people's feelings, even when that was the last thing you intended. You then spend the next 3 days replaying the conversation in your head, cringing at yourself. This impulsiveness isn't just verbal, it can be behavioral too. It's that, "Sure, I'll try that ridiculously spicy pepper," or, "Yeah, let's book a spontaneous trip to Vegas" mentality. It makes for great stories later, but in the moment, it can lead to consequences that a little bit of forethought could have easily avoided. It's a constant battle between our expressive nature and the need for a little self-control. This one is a little vulnerable, but it's super important. As people who get energy from others, it's very easy for extroverts to become dependent on external validation. Think about it. When you tell a great story and the whole room laughs, you get a rush. When you post a picture and the likes and comments pour in, you feel good. That social feedback is like a drug. It affirms that we are liked, that we are interesting, that we belong, and we start to chase that feeling. The danger here is when your self-esteem gets tangled up with what other people think of you. You start measuring your worth by the number of party invites you get, the compliments you receive, or how many people engage with your posts. When that external validation is high, you feel like you're on top of the world. But when it's low, when you have a quiet weekend, or a post flops, or you feel ignored in a group, your self-worth can take a massive nosedive. You start to question yourself. Am I boring? Did I do something wrong? Do people not like me anymore? This creates a really fragile sense of self. You're essentially handing over the controls of your happiness to other people, and that's a super risky game to play. True self-esteem has to be built from the inside out. It's about knowing your own worth, regardless of whether you're the center of attention or sitting home alone on a Friday night. For an extrovert, it's a conscious effort to disconnect our value as a person from the amount of social applause we receive. We have to learn to be our own biggest fan, even when the stadium is empty. Finally, let's talk about what happens when you're always surrounded by noise. Constant socializing, while fun, can make it incredibly difficult to find the time and mental space for deep reflection. Self-awareness, personal growth, and processing complex emotions often require quiet introspection. You need to be able to sit with your thoughts, untangle them, and understand yourself on a deeper level. But for an extrovert, The default is to seek distraction and external stimuli. When your schedule is packed and you're always on the move, you might be avoiding, consciously or unconsciously, the important work of looking inward. It's easier to go to another party than to sit down and figure out why you're really unhappy in your job or to process a recent breakup. Talking about your problems with friends is helpful, and it's a classic extrovert move, but it's not the same as silent, deep contemplation. We tend to skim the surface of our own feelings because diving deep feels lonely and, frankly, a little scary. This lack of deep reflection can stunt your personal growth. You might find yourself making the same mistakes over and over because you never took the time to truly understand the root cause. You might feel a lingering sense of unfulfillment, but can't put your finger on why, because you're too busy to listen to that quiet inner voice. Carving out dedicated time for solitude and reflection isn't just for introverts. It's essential for everyone. For us extroverts, it just requires a more deliberate effort to turn down the volume of the outside world and tune into ourselves. So, there you have it, the not-so-glamorous side of being an extrovert. From social hangovers to feeling weird when you're alone, it's clear that being a social butterfly isn't always a walk in the park. But I want to be super clear about something. These challenges are not a life sentence. Not every extrovert will struggle with all of these things, and that's perfectly okay. We're all complex, unique unicorns, and these are just some patterns that can show up. The whole point of this video isn't to make you feel bad about being outgoing. It's the opposite. The goal is awareness. It's about understanding that your social battery needs recharging, that it's okay to say no, and that your worth isn't measured in party invitations. The key, like with most things in life, is balance. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can enjoy the energy you get from being around people, but also cherish the peace and clarity that comes from solitude. It's about learning to be your own best friend, so you don't need an audience to feel whole. It's about embracing both your extroverted and your introverted qualities, because newsflash, we all have both. So, I encourage you to check in with yourself. Are you feeling overstimulated? Are you avoiding being alone? Be honest, and then, be kind to yourself. Maybe you need to schedule a do-nothing night into your week. Maybe you need to practice sitting in silence for just 5 minutes. Your journey is your own. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and getting real. Let me know in the comments which of these points you related to the most. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real talk. Until next time, stay balanced and be you. Peace out.